Okay, can you see the slides?
Opo.
Okay, so let's continue with the madami pa kasing there's a lot of CNS depressants. So as we mentioned, diba, sedative central nervous system depressant usually causes a decrease in the activity of the central nervous system. Central nervous system involves the spinal cord as well as the brain and spinal cord. No? So we're through with the general anesthesia. So let's go to sedative hypnotic. Another group of CNS depressant. So tandaan nyo lang, basta pag most common adverse effect or the most common cause ng death associated with CNS depressant is respiratory depression. Okay, so let's go to sedative hypnotics. No? So this refers to the same drugs and they can cause different levels of CNS depression. So from sedation to hypnosis. So we have what we call the sedative dose and hypnotic dose. Okay? So as I've said, this refers to the same drug. Yun lang, meron siyang sedative dose, meron siyang hypnotic dose. Okay. So when you say sedatives makes you relax but not really sleep. For a drug to produce sleep, it's called hypnosis. Or more, iba yung hypnosis, no, na ginagawa, no? Gusto ko yung ibudol-budol, no? So it's also drugs which are classified as hypnosis or hypnotics are drugs which are capable of producing sleep. And as we mentioned, this refers to the same drug. Yun lang, depende lang sa dosage. And this includes barbiturates and the non-barbiturates. Usually, mas more important, especially for pharma, it's the barbiturates. So, barbiturates, these are one of the more common sedative hypnotic, and the most common classification ng barbiturate is based on the onset and duration of action. So based on the onset and duration, they are classified as either ultra short, short, intermediate, and long acting. No? And the difference in the duration, onset and duration of action is because they have different lipid solubility. The ultra short acting, no? Usually these are very highly lipid soluble drug. Kaya mabilis, they go fast into the brain, no? Kasi mataas, no? Very lipid soluble drugs. And even the use of the barbiturate depends on the classification. For ultra short acting, so in seconds, no, patient is tulog, but injury hindi tumatagal, no? After a while, patient is awake, no? And it is used as a pre-anesthetic agent. Now, remember tiopental? Tiopental is an example of a drug which causes redistribution. For a drug to be redistributed, kailangan highly lipid soluble yung gamot. No, if the drug is not highly lipid soluble, it does not usually undergo redistribution. And tiopental is one drug kasi very lipid soluble, kaya nga ultra short acting, and ang use niya is a pre-anesthetic agent. These are the short acting. Sorry po. So we have the short acting. Yan, no? So it takes around, the onset is 10-15 minutes and the effect lasts for 3 to 4 hours. And they say that for dental procedures, ang recommended type ng barbiturates to use for dental procedure is the short or the intermediate acting. Kasi daw, yung duration of action of the drug is more or less suitable for the number of hours that you spend on a patient. Kasi kung ultra short ang gagamitin mo, that's too fast, di ba? If you're going to use naman the long acting, masyado namang matagal. So for dental procedures, so most of our dental procedures, mga last for around 3 to 4 hours. And kung gagamit or the barbiturate, the sedative hypnotic, specifically the barbiturate, which is recommended for dental procedure to sedate the patient, the short-acting barbiturates. Short and intermediate. No? So, as I've said, no, you have the barbital, secobarbital, pentobarbital, no? And you have the intermediate acting, mga 6 to 8 hours. So this is used for, PO is per orem, by mouth, no? PO is by mouth. It is used for daytime sedation as well as to produce sleep. So ito yung mga intermediate na amo, buta. So, yeah. And then you have the long acting, no? So, onset takes 2 to 3 hours. No, ang effect lasts for 10 to 12 hours. Too much already for dental procedures. And ang use ng mga long-acting barbiturate is one of the drug which is most commonly used as an anticonvulsant. One of the first drug that is used for convulsion is the long-acting, especially phenobarbital. Kapag ang patient mo, no, in the drug history, kahit sabihin niyang hindi siya epileptic, pero may history na nag-take ng phenobarbital or nagtitake ng phenobarbital, isuspect nyo na baka epileptic yung patient. Wala namang bawal sa epilepsy, di ba? What can trigger epileptic seizure is stress, no? Even yung light. So, no contraindication naman, no, if the patient is epileptic. Tayo lang kasi medyo sometimes some people put stigma on a patient na epileptic. Pero in case of dental procedure, usually ang ayaw lang ng epileptic seizure is stress. And yung direct light kasi nati-trigger daw ng light yung seizure, yung headlight natin. So magandang tinatak para you put something to protect the eyes of the patient dun sa light para it doesn't cause epileptic seizure. Pero walang delikado sa epilepsy. Ang importante, di ba, if the patient is having seizure, you make sure that the patient is safe while having the seizure. Kasi after the seizure, normal naman ang patient. So these are the drugs which long-acting barbiturate is usually used for epilepsy. It's used as an anticonvulsant. And the most common is phenobarbital. Okay. They differ in terms of onset duration, and the difference is in terms of lipid solubility. More lipid soluble, more faster ang onset and duration of action. So, pharmacologic effect ng barbiturates. So, barbiturates can, it can produce different levels of CNS depression, from sedation to general anesthesia to respiratory arrest to death. Yan yung usual progression ng mga mga CNS depressant. It starts with sedation. If it becomes deeper, it goes to sleep. No? Then it can become a GA. And then you have the respiratory depression, and then following respiratory depression is death already. Kaya mention natin, di ba, last time, they do not allow the GA to progress sa respiratory arrest kasi mahirap nang i-revive yung patient. At sedative hypnotic doses, no, barbiturate is considered to be relatively safe. Kasi the only part ng brain which is affected is the ascending reticular formation. Yun lang daw ang affected ng barbiturates. Kaya safe naman siya. In terms of CNS depressant effect, barbiturates is up to now, no, still considered to be safe. Kasi the only part ng brain at sedative hypnotic doses, the only part ng brain which is affected is the ascending reticular formation. The ascending reticular formation is the one that sends signal to the cerebral cortex. Para ang cerebral cortex, which is the sleep-waking center, can do the necessary respond to the stimulus. Kaya pag natutulog ka, di ba, when you're asleep, you don't drink any medication or whatever, pag may sumigaw ng sunog, you wake up. Kasi yung stimulus reaches the reticular formation, and the reticular formation sends signal to the cerebral cortex, and the cerebral cortex now can make the necessary response. If the patient took a sleeping pill, no? So how come the patient doesn't wake up? because yung stimulus does not go into the cortex. It's blocked in the reticular formation. So walang stimulus that sends signal to the cerebral cortex. And the cerebral cortex remains asleep. So wala kasing stimulus eh. Hindi nakikita o hindi na recognize ng cerebral cortex ang stimulus. Kaya the patient is actually asleep. Kaya kahit nalulunod na yung patient sa bathtub, the patient is actually drowning in the bathtub, hindi niya nararamdaman. Because there is no signal that sends, that conduct the stimulus to the cerebral cortex. Okay? That's how barbiturate produce its effect. And basically, it's still safe naman, no? Provided nasa dose ka. Nasa tamang dose. Okay. It's a very good anticonvulsant. Sabi ko nga, di ba, especially the long-acting. Ang gamit ng long-acting is an anticonvulsant, and it can also decrease the tone and motility of the GIT. So these are the effects of the barbiturates. So basically safe, no? But it can be exaggerated in elderly patients. Sa mga elderly patients, and usually sa bata, no, they don't recommend barbiturates for children. Baliktad kasi ang effect sa bata. So for pediatric patients, they don't recommend the use of barbiturates to sedate children. Kasi what happens is nagkakaroon ng idiosyncratic reaction. Instead of the child becoming sedated, nagiging hyperactive yung bata. So sabi nila it's idiosyncrasy. So 5 to 10 times the hypnotic dose, no? It can cause allergic reaction also. Chronic use, no, can produce its psychological and physical dependency. So it can produce, no, it's highly addicting, and barbiturates can cause tolerance. Yun yung problema eh. So you take the drug, then the effect is nice. So you develop tolerance. What happens is you need, once you develop tolerance, diba, it requires higher dosage. And the higher the dose, the more addicted or the more dependent you become with the drug. So in the case of barbiturate, yun ang problem with the sleeping pills. Nagpo-produce siya ng psychological as well as physical dependency. And it also developed tolerance. Tapos it actually combines, no, especially if you combine it with other CNS depressant, nagiging potentiation. Kaya si Michael Jackson, di ba? Ang dami niyang if you remember the news, no? Ang dami niya kasing gamot na iniinom, no? And some of the drugs actually nagkaroon ng potentiation. Kaya accidental suicide. Accidental cause ang death, accidental suicide because of the medication. Yun yung mahirap, no? Na kung ano-ano yung gamot na iniinom. You might be, as I've said, you might be developing potentiation. Good if it's additive. Ang masama if it's potentiation. So if you're drinking mga ganitong gamot, don't drink alcohol. Alcohol is a CNS depressant. And some drugs which are for high blood pressure are depressant. So, ingat lang pagbibigay ng mga CNS depressant. Luckily for us, we don't need this kasi we cannot prescribe this because this is a regulated drug. The most common contraindication to barbiturate is a condition known as porphyria. Porphyria is a condition where there is an increase in porphyrin. Diba? Remember, one chemical substance which is found in the body is porphyrin. If there is an increase in porphyrins, the condition is called porphyria. Barbiturate increases porphyrins. Kaya hindi siya recommended na gamot. Okay? So, the most important non-barbiturate sedative hypnotic is chloral hydrate. So, Sabi, no, this is the only non-barbiturate that is recommended in dentistry. Usually, this is for pediatric patient. Kasi nga, hindi pwede ang barbiturates. So, what is recommended to sedate pediatric patient is the non-barbiturate, sedative hypnotic. Chloral hydrate produces enzyme induction. This is one drug which is known to produce enzyme induction. We've discussed enzyme induction, di ba? So, as I've said last time, yesterday, enzyme induction makes the microsomal enzymes in the liver to work fast. No, it increases the enzymes. So, pag kinumbine siya, no, so that's the effect ng chloral hydrate. If it's combined with another drug whose metabolism is dependent on the liver, mas mawawalan, easier for the other drugs to lose its effect. Kasi mabilis ang metabolism because of enzyme induction. And one drug which is known to produce enzyme induction is chloral hydrate. The drug, the non-barbiturate that is recommended for children, and most of the time it's recommended for, it's a non-barbiturate that is recommended for children because barbiturates daw, baliktad ang effect. Instead of the child becoming sedated, the child becomes hyperactive. Okay? Okay, no? For, di ba remember we said, sino nga ba yun? Okay, no? So, for two organs are important, kidney and liver. For long-acting barbiturate, the main contraindication, the precaution, it's kidney. So, patients with kidney problem, usually the long-acting barbiturate should be used in caution. The rest is liver. Ang medyo delikado lang pag kidney, long-acting. The rest of the barbiturate, liver, ang medyo problem. Okay. Yan lang naman ang madalas tinatanong sa board exams when it comes to the sedative hypnotics. Okay. Let's go to minor tranquilizers. As I've said, hindi ako masyadong kasi nga hindi naman natin to kinagamit. Tandaan nyo na lang siguro yung names. So when you encounter the name, more or less, you know what it is. Okay. Another CNS depressant, we call it minor tranquilizers. Animation, sorry. So we have the minor tranquilizers. Okay. So another name for minor tranquilizers, sometimes it's called anxiolytic or anti-anxiety, anti-neurotic. Iba yung antipsychotic, no? And they say that sometimes kasi meron tayong anxiety, di ba? Sometimes you experience yung anxiety. So it doesn't mean naman na medyo tawag niya na may problem ka. It's just that minsan talaga we have anxiety attack. And ang drug that is used are the anti-anxiety or the minor tranquilizers. Okay, so these are the different minor tranquilizers. You have three groups, no? So dentistry, the minor tranquilizers that is preferred for dentistry are the benzodiazepine. So dito tayo sa benzodiazepine. Okay, no? So there are two important drugs, no, which are considered as prototype of the benzodiazepine. So you have chlordiazepoxide, Librium, and Valium, diazepam. So these are some of the areas or some of the drugs considered as benzo. So sabi ko nga may mga sipam. So may mga sipam-sipam. So sa atin, if you're going to use, no, for dentistry, if you're going to use sedative at kung pwede ka, ang choice mo is the minor tranquilizers and it's the benzodiazepine. Better than barbiturates. So this is the This is the advantage ng barbiturate over advantage ng minor tranquilizers ng benzodiazepine over the barbiturate. Although they have the same indications, but these are the advantages ng benzo. So safer siya. And very seldom do patient die of benzo. Usually sa sleeping pills. Very seldom nag-overdose ang patient sa minor tranquilizers. Less mental, physical impairment, no? So, safer. Okay? So, sa dentistry, imbis na barbiturate, better ang benzo. So, it's the sedative drug which is usually recommended for dental purposes, hindi barbiturates. Although, hindi pa rin tayo pwede. Kasi you still need special license. Before, nakakabili ng diazepam kahit walang prescription. Now, hindi na. Kasi nga masyadong maraming addicts na, no? So, too much, so masyado ng uncontrolled yung drug usage natin. Kaya, medyo naghihigpit na. Dati nakakabili. Even dentists are able to buy. We can write prescription for diazepam, but now kailangan na ng S2 license. So basically, now these are the effect ng benzo. So it can be used to induce sleep, not sleep, but induce sleep. Kasi nga relaxing siya. Pero kung kahit na, even if you take benzodiazepine or you take Valium, pero maingay pa rin, mahirap pa rin matulog. That's the difference between the benzo at saka barbiturate. Kasi hindi naman siya hypnotic. Sedative lang siya. It's only a sedative. It's not a hypnotic. Okay? Nakuha niyo ko. So, it only induces sleep, but it's not really hypnotic. It's a very good anticonvulsant and it causes skeletal muscle relaxant. Yung mga yung tawag dito, yung stiff neck, you have stiff neck, maganda ang diazepam for that. Kasi it's a very good skeletal muscle relaxant. So these are the pharmacologic effects of the benzodiazepine. So it's a sedative, it can induce sleep, it's an anticonvulsant, and it's a very good skeletal muscle relaxant. Okay, so there are two considered as prototype ng benzo. No? One is diazepam, and the other is chlordiazepoxide. So, very good for anxiety, yung insomnia, especially due to excessive anxiety. Hindi ka makatulog, dami mong iniisip, you have so many things to, yung di ba, like usong-uso ngayon, no? I don't know. But usong-uso ngayon for students, especially sa mga estudyante, uso yung anxiety attack. I've seen a lot of students having anxiety attack. Maganda ang Valium for that. No, it's very good anti-anxiety agent. It's also very good for muscle spasms. Yung may mga, you know what's Parkinson's disease? Yung hindi mo makontrol yung muscle movement, no, yung contraction ng muscle. Good for cerebral palsy, no, good for Parkinson's disease. Kasi magandang siya. It's a very good skeletal muscle relaxant. And it's the drug of choice for status epilepticus. IV injection is a very good anticonvulsant. So it's the drug of choice for status epilepticus. You remember yung repeated convulsive seizures is called status epilepticus. Di ba maraming klase ng convulsions? Meron tonic-clonic, grand mal, clonic-tonic, partial, di ba ang daming, there's so many types of epileptic seizures. And one type ng epileptic seizure is called status epilepticus. Continuous daw yung seizure. Repeated, no? seizures. Ang drug of choice for status epilepticus is IV injection of Valium or diazepam. So it's a very good anticonvulsant, not just for anxiety, but it is very good for as an anticonvulsant. Another benzodiazepine. So this is the side effect. You know what is ataxia? Ataxia is loss of muscle coordination. So sabi, if you have to drive, don't take Valium. Kasi nawawala, no? It loses your di ba when you're driving, kailangan kaya focus, no? And you have muscle coordination. Isang adverse effect or side effect associated with this drug is it loses yung control mo ng muscles. So ataxia. So if patient is taking these drugs, usually you ask the patient not to drive because the reflexes becomes less. Okay, it takes 2 hours ang peak level, and this is the dose: 2, 5, and 10 milligram tablets. So this is the recommended, the available dose or the available preparation for Valium. Okay. So another drug is chlordiazepoxide, Librium. Compared to Valium, chlordiazepoxide less potent as a skeletal muscle relaxant and less potent as an anticonvulsant. But when it comes to the anti-anxiety, pareho lang. You have the same potency. So whether Valium or Librium is used to control anxiety, it's basically have the same efficacy. But in Valium or diazepam is a more potent or more effective anticonvulsant and a more effective skeletal muscle relaxant. Ang chlordiazepoxide, hindi siya usually ginagamit na anticonvulsant. What is used as an anticonvulsant that belongs to the benzodiazepine is Valium. So 4 hours. So this is the available preparation: 5, 10, 25 milligrams. So basically as an anti-anxiety, pareho lang yan. So it's the drug of choice for alcohol withdrawal symptoms. Questions? Okay. So, let's go to another. So let's go to narcotics, no? So we'll discuss this, no? Pain perception, okay, no? Ay, nasan yung narcotics ko? Here, sorry. So let's go to opioid agonists. Okay. So as we said, no? So these are drugs which is similar to opium, and they have the same effects. Narcotics basically has the same effect. They produce analgesia, addiction, respiratory depression. It produces sedation, emesis, and constipation. They have the same effect. Ang difference lang nila is more or less potency and toxicity. Pero all narcotics, or more or less all the narcotics, has the same effect. So, no problem with analgesia, no problem with addiction. Sabi nga natin, lahat naman ng CNS depressant causes respiratory depression. Now, you know what sedation? Sedation is not sleep. It just makes you relax. Emesis is vomiting. And constipation, alam niyo naman yan. No? So, these are the pharmacologic effect associated with the narcotics. So we have different classification ng narcotics. One is opium alkaloid. You know what is opium? Comes from the opium plant, no? And for, you know what's heroin, no? Very addicting. Mas matapang pa nga ito sa shabu yung heroin. So actually, what is used for medicine is morphine and codeine. So they come from the same plant. Actually, these drugs come from the same plant, comes from the opium plant. Pero the one that is used for medical, for therapeutic value is morphine and codeine. Heroin, it's ano yan. Kung mahilig kayong, if you're fond of watching American dramas, di ba? Aside from cocaine, ang sa US kasi it's heroin, no? Yung overdose, no? So usually sa states, ang common sa kanilang drug which is used for most time na abuse yung mga addicts, they're addicts to heroin or addicts to cocaine. So it comes from the same plant. It's just the ang nagagamit lang therapeutically is morphine and codeine. Okay, so these are the characteristics ng codeine. It's a moderate analgesic. Remember, we can base analgesic based on the effect. So moderate sila. It's classified as a moderate analgesic. Isang gamit ng codeine is used to control cough. Very good antitussive. Di ba pag sinabi mong antitussive, it means it controls cough centers. And one drug which can control cough is codeine. Although now, before, yung Formula 44, it used to have codeine. Kaya, yung ibang addicts, no? So, siguro hindi nyo na alam yun, no? Tanungin nyo yung mga, siguro yung parents during those times, no? So, may mga addicts to cough mixtures. Kasi, and before, ang dali bumili ng mga cough mixtures. Formula 44 before was codeine. So, ginagamit yan ng mga addicts. Ang kiniklaim nila for cough. Pero actually, they're using codeine for that. No? Maganda ang codeine to control cough. Kaya ngayon, even cough mixtures requires prescription. Kasi some of the cough mixtures contains narcotic. And usually it's codeine, which is placed or used for cough, to control cough. Very good antitussive. Usually it's administered orally. Morphine kasi is administered parenterally. Hindi effective ang morphine oral. So the narcotic which is usually effective orally is codeine. It's 12 times less potent than morphine. Although yung 10 milligrams of morphine, it's equivalent to 120 milligrams of codeine. 12 times more, pareho sila ng efficacy, less potent lang ang morphine. But the recommended analgesic dose ng codeine is 60 milligram. Sa States, sa US, they use codeine. Tayo lang dito hindi gumagamit, no? And I do not know. Sabi ng isang Iranian, Iranian friend ko, sa Iran daw, codeine is over the counter. I don't know if it's true. Kaya sabi ko nga sa'yo, kaya pala ganyan kayo no? Kasi it's over the counter. Tayo dito, sorry, hindi ko pala siya na regulated to Kaya nga, sometimes it requires, as I've said, no, kailangan, may mga cough mixtures that requires prescription. Kasi kung codeine yan, siya, kailangan ng prescription. Although it's less potent than morphine, pero if you give the dose, higher dosage, the effect is like morphine. So, ang recommended dose ng codeine is 15 to 60 milligrams for pain. Sa States, ginagamit. Yung mga surgery, yung impaction, yung mga ganong dental procedures, no? They can use codeine. Pero it's addicting, no? So it can cause addiction, it can cause So, tawag dito, it can cause depression. So, pareho lang sila. Pareho lang naman yan. Okay? Morphine, another narcotic is morphine. Now, this is the standard. Everything is compared to morphine. Parang lidocaine, di ba? For local anesthesia, the standard use is lidocaine. In terms of narcotic analgesic, the standard that is used is morphine. And usually, morphine, hindi ka bibigyan, doctors will not give you morphine unless wala ka ng chance. Hindi to ginagamit as a strong analgesic. Usually, pag morphine, yung teacher ko sa ANES, karoon siya ng oral cancer. Cancer of the floor of the mouth ata. And he was, nagtuturo pa rin siya. Was still attending his classes even na diagnosed na siya. And ayaw niya he was actually given morphine. Binibigyan na siya ng morphine. Ayaw niya. Kasi sabi niya, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. If I take morphine, I don't have anything to do except to sleep. And nagdo-drive pa siya ha. He's still driving. And sabi nga namin, paano yun if you are driving tapos you have experienced yung very severe pain. He just stopped daw muna. Make sure he's safe, no? And then tinitiis niya yung pain. Ayaw niya. Kasi nga, mahirap with morphine. If you're given morphine, ka nang magagawa. You just sleep. Like what happened to Cory Aquino. Diba si Cory Aquino is cancer? And during the later years, morphine na ang binibigay. And usually ginagamit ang morphine for terminal diseases already. Kasi wala ka na talagang palliative na lang siya just to relieve pain. And in terms of pain relief, no, ang maganda daw with the narcotics, with morphine, hindi lang pain relief, even yung discomfort associated with the condition, nare-relieve. Alam mong mamamatay ka na, pero hindi mo na pinapansin. Yun daw ang maganda with the narcotics. Does not only relieve pain, but you do not worry anymore. Kasi wala ka nang gagawin kundi matulog. Wala ka ng quality of life. Okay? So it develops dependency, it develops withdrawal symptoms, no? And ito kung minsan lumalabas sa board exam, the triad of morphine overdose. So pag na-overdose, you look for coma, pinpoint pupil, and depressed respiration. This is called the triad of morphine overdose. The drug of choice to counteract respiratory depression caused by morphine is naloxone. Naloxone is the antagonist of morphine. Okay, and then you have the semi-synthetic derivative. Pag more morphine. So more potent, more toxic. So you have oxymorphone, and then you have nalbuphine, it's Nubain. Usually sa hospital, kasi morphine is only effective parenteral. Sa hospital, no, if you need a drug na yung hindi ka na kaya ng non-narcotic, usually the pain can only be controlled through the narcotic. Ang binibigay is nalbuphine. Nubain. Pag severe, yung mga kidney stones, na talagang masakit na masakit, may mga stones sa different organs na too much pain, ang binibigay is Nubain, hindi morphine. And Nubain is agonist, antagonist. It's a combination of oxymorphone and naloxone. Kaya ang classification ng Nubain, agonist, antagonist. So, ang tanong sa inyo, if ever, tanong sa iyo is agonist, antagonist of morphine. Tignan mo yung Nubain. And usually, this is the one preferred kung hindi naman siya terminal. Potency is the same as morphine, and supposed to be it's safer than morphine because agonist-antagonist siya. Hindi siya pure morphine. Hindi siya pure agonist. So it's a combination of agonist-antagonist. Siguro yung mga iba sa inyo na naoperahan na or had to undergo severe pain, so probably you know what I'm talking about, no? So sa hospital, Novain ang binibigay instead of morphine. Bibigyan ka lang ng morphine kapag may expiration date ka na. Okay. So if it's codeine, it's codeine. These are the semi-synthetic derivative of codeine. Hydrocodone. Oxidone is more known to be cough mixture. Yung Percodan. No? So, ang madalas na what is used na for cough mixtures, antitussive agent, which is narcotic, is oxycodone. So, pag bibili kayo ng antitussive para sa colds, tignan nyo yung content. No? And ang codeine that is used for cough, it's usually Percodan. And then you have the synthetic derivative, meperidine, methadone. And then these are some of the opioid agonist-antagonists. So, agonist-antagonist. Okay. Kaya pa? Hello? Kaya niyo pa? Hindi niyo na ako sinasagot. Are you still okay? O tama na? Okay lang naman kung ayaw niyo na.
Ilan pa po, Doc po?
Let's go to cardiovascular. Saan na lang siguro? Cardiovascular na lang. Kasi kuminsan madalas din to eh. Wait lang ha. Is my cardiovascular. Dali lang po. Napin ko lang. Can you see the slides?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay.
Opo.
So let's go to the last topic, cardiovascular drugs. So as we mentioned, these are drugs which acts on the cardiovascular system. And kung central nervous system is brain and spinal cord, cardiovascular drugs, di ba pag sinabi mong cardio, heart, vascular is the blood vessels. No? So these are drugs which acts on the heart, the blood, as well as the blood vessels. Cardiovascular drugs affects the heart, the blood, as well as the blood vessels. Okay? And we have different types of cardiovascular drugs. So you have diuretics and antihypertensive, cardiac glycosides, anti-arrhythmia, anti-angina, anticoagulant, and you have anti-hyperlipidemia. So these are the different types of cardiovascular drugs, and it can affect the heart, the blood, or the blood vessels. For pharma, for cardiovascular drugs, there are certain terms which is used to describe the effect of the drug in the body. So one term, no, just like yung triple response, pag narinig mo yung triple response, it's histamine. So ito, if you hear these terms or you see these terms, no, usually it refers to cardiovascular effect. So heart and blood vessels ang ano. No? So you have the term inotropic. Inotropic affects muscle contraction. And diba, the heart is basically a muscle. So it needs to contract to be able to pump blood into the system. So drugs which are the inotropic term refers to muscle contraction. Kung positive inotropic effect or positive inotropism, that means this drug increases heart contraction. Either the atrium or the another name for atrium, no, or the ventricles, ano yun? Yung chambers, auricle and ventricle, di ba? So atrium, no, and ventriculum, tama ba ko? So anyway, yung chambers, no, it increases the contraction of the chambers of the heart. Tawag doon inotropic. So if you increase positive, if it says negative inotropic, decreases the activity or decreases the contraction of the heart muscles. Chronotropic affects impulses. No? And yung heart rate, di ba normal heart rate is 60 to 90 for adults. Higher ang bata, no? Di ba 100, 120? Tama ba ko? If I remember correctly, for children, it takes 100. Ang normal sa children is 100 to 120. For adults, the usual heart rate is 60 to 90. That's the recommended. So chronotropic affects impulse formation. Positive, negative. Positive increase, negative decrease. Yun lang naman yun. And then dromotropic refers to conduction, impulse conduction. Iba yung impulse formation, iba yung impulse conduction. Pag conduction, it's dromo. So, di ba yung, what you call that? The pacemaker of the heart, yung SA node. So, maggagawa, they will do impulse formation. Tapos, i-conduct yan to specialize conducting fibers, yung Purkinje fibers. Tapos pupunta sa auricle, pupunta sa ventricle. So, if the drug affects conduction, dromo. If it affects formation, chrono. Okay, positive, negative, increase, decrease na. And then you have the term pressor effect. Pressor effect is, this refers to the ability of the drug to increase blood pressure because of vasoconstriction. That's called pressor effects. A pressor effect. Now, it's increase in blood pressure because of vasoconstriction. Okay. So let's go to diuretics and other antihypertensives. Okay. So what is blood pressure? Actually, blood pressure is defined as the ratio between the size of the cardiovascular system and the amount of the blood in the system. That's blood pressure down. Now, that's the definition for blood pressure. It's the size of the cardiovascular system and the amount of the system, or the amount of blood in the system. And there are certain factors which affects blood pressure. One is the cardiac output. You know what's cardiac output, diba? This is the amount of blood that goes into the circulation. So if there is increase in cardiac output, there is increase in blood pressure. Another is the blood volume, the amount of blood in the system. And another factor is the rate and strength of heart action. And then you have peripheral resistance. Peripheral resistance, it refers to the ability of the blood to pass through the lumen of the blood pressure. Kapag mataas ang peripheral resistance, mag-i-increase ang blood pressure because the blood finds it very difficult to pass through the lumen of the blood vessels because of constriction. And that is called pressor effect. Diba sabi ko, pag may vasoconstriction, increase in blood pressure. Kaya nga ang treatment usually pag high blood is vasodilation para mas mabilis yung flow ng blood. When there is vasoconstriction, ang tendency mag-increase in blood pressure because it increases peripheral resistance. Peripheral resistance refers to how you measure, no? How difficult or easy it is for the blood to pass through the lumen of the blood vessels. Pag nag-i-increase ang peripheral resistance, that means hirap yung blood. to pass, di ba? So, you know yung atherosclerosis, yung hardening, di ba? Yung fat, why is the fat not good for the lumen? Kasi it causes atherosclerosis. It makes the lumen of your blood vessels small. So, syempre, hirap dumaan yung blood. Yung bad cholesterol. Tsaka, if there's atherosclerosis, nag-harden ang blood vessels, di ba? If you remember. So, kung hard yung blood vessels mo, they cannot contract properly. No, nagdi-decrease yung contraction. Di ba? Pag merong systolic, nagko-contract. Pag may diastolic, nagre-relax. So, normal dapat yung relaxation and contraction. And if the vessels, no, is hardened sila because of the fats, usually hirap silang mag-contract. So they cannot properly react or respond to the changes in the environment. Kaya tumataas ang blood pressure. Okay? Questions? Ewan ko kung naintindihan niyo ako. Anyway. Okay. No? So, they say that in the treatment daw, no, ng high blood or blood pressure, they use the step up. Yung ang increase ng increase. Kaya siguro yung mga patients who are taking high blood, ang pang high blood pressure, daming gamot na iniinom. No, initially, kung controllable yung BP mo, not too high, di ba, you started with diet and exercise. Pag hindi ka nakuha sa diet and exercise kasi matigas ang ulo mo, still eating lechong kawali, no? Eating chicharon. Okay. So, tapos anong tawag nila doon? Couch potato ka, you don't walk, no? So, then you are treated with medications. Pero usually, pag controllable naman ang BP, di ba, tinastart naman nila talaga yan with diet and exercise. So initially, no, pag step 1, isang gamot lang ginagamit. Usually, it's either a diuretic or a beta blocker. Mga olol. No? And then, step 2, pag hindi nakuha ng isang gamot, then, dadagdagan yung gamot mo. Magdadagdagan ng gamot. No? So, pag step 3, usually, 3 yung gamot. Kaya mga patients with high blood, ang daming gamot na iniinom. Kasi hindi nako-control sa isa. So, they call this the step up or the step care approach to the treatment ng high blood pressure. Okay? Questions po? Okay. No? So, yan. So, dagdag lang ng dagdag ng gamot. Okay, let's go to diuretics. Diuretics are drugs which increases urination. And, syempre, as you make wee-wee, no? What is affected? How come diuretics decrease blood pressure? Kasi it lowers blood volume. Basically, di ba, blood is made up of water. So, kung ihi ka ng ihi, bababa yung water. So, bababa yung blood pressure mo. Kaya patients, if your patient is taking diuretics, you expect the patient, excuse yan ng excuse. Ihi yan ng ihi. So, usually, sa treatment ng blood pressure, ng high blood pressure, ang drug that is usually used is a diuretic. Yun yung unang binibigay daw, diuretic. So we have different types of diuretic. You have the minor diuretics. These are the minor. No? Then you have the different minor diuretics. Santin, if you remember the Santin. So, not that important for high blood. No? Although there are more, the major diuretics or the minor diuretics are more useful to increase urination. For high blood pressure, what is usually used to control blood pressure are the major diuretics. Major ang ginagamit. And one of the drug that is used is thiazide. Sa states, thiazide ang ginagamit. Okay. So it's also known as potassium losing. So thiazide is potassium losing. So it causes a loss of potassium. nagpo-produce siya ng hypokalemia. So that's one side effect associated with the thiazides. Kaya patients who are taking thiazides are usually asked to eat plenty of bananas. Very good source ng very good source ng potassium is bananas. Okay. And ang difference lang naman nila is mechanism of action. So the thiazides are known as the potassium losing. Now this is the mechanism of action. It prevents sodium resorption at the distal convoluted tubules. Bakit bawal ang salt sa high blood? Why is salt not recommended for patients ng high blood? Because salt is what? It's sodium chloride. If you eat a lot of salt, it causes sodium retention. Pag nag-increase ang sodium mo, i-increase ang blood volume mo. When there is an increase in blood volume, tataas ang blood pressure mo. Follow? So pag nagre-retain ka ng water, and sodium actually causes water retention. Pag nag-cause ka ng water retention, tendency mag-increase ang blood pressure. So these drugs actually, ang mechanism of action yan, it prevents sodium retention. Kaihi ng ihi yung patient, yung water. Ge-excrete siya ng water. In the case of the thiazides, aside from sodium, it also loses potassium. Kaya siya potassium losing, tawag sa kanya. Hypokalemia. So not recommended for NSAIDs. So if the patient is taking thiazides, hindi masyadong recommended to give NSAIDs. NSAID may reduce the effect of thiazides. May possible interaction. Also in patients who are taking in cases na nagtitake siya for diabetes. Yan yung may possible reaction. Not really a problem. Yung NSAID, kasi we give NSAID. Pero in the case ng hyperkalemia, can cause hyperkalemia kapag kinumbine with anti-diabetic agents. Hindi naman natin yan problem kasi we don't use it naman. Okay? Mechanism of action lang naman ang difference nito. And then you have the loop diuretic. This includes furosemide. No? You ask your parents kung high blood sila, what is the drug that they are using? Diba? Usually it's Lasix. It's, ang tawag nila dito, water filler para ihi ka ng ihi. So, pareho lang siya ng thiazides, except, yun nga, iba ang mechanism of action. Sa loop of Henle. Yung isa sa distal convoluted tubules. Kaya nga importante sa pharma is fisio. Di ba ang tubules, di ba meron kang convoluted tubules, loop of Henle, ascending loop of Henle, descending loop of Henle, collecting tubules, di ba meron yan sa sa fisio. So kung saan yung prevention ng retention ng sodium, yun yung difference nila. Furosemide is loop siya. Doon siya sa ascending limb of Henle. Yun yung prevention ng water. So sa Philippines, usually, very commonly used ang Lasix as a water filler. Pero pareho lang naman ang effect. Loop diuretics, iba siya from it's different from the thiazides. Yan. Other loop, ethacrinic acid and bumetamide. Yan. Ibang mga loop. But the most common for us is actually Lasix in the Philippines. Okay. The third group of diuretics, major diuretics, are called potassium-sparing diuretic. No? So, ang thiazide is potassium-losing, siya potassium-sparing. It doesn't cause hypokalemia. And ano siya, it's the antagonist of aldosterone. Iba ang mechanism of action. Aldosterone, if you remember what is aldosterone, is the anti-diuretic hormone. So para hindi ka ma-dehydrate, the system produces aldosterone. And ang it's anti-diuretic, hindi ka iihi. Kung dehydrated ka, magpo-produce ng aldosterone so that you cause water retention. And potassium-sparing diuretics compete ng aldosterone. Ihi ka ng ihi kasi walang anti-diuretic hormone. So it's the competitive antagonist of aldosterone. And another difference is hindi siya hindi nagko-cause ng hypokalemia. Doesn't cause. It's potassium sparing. Okay? Questions? Okay, no? So one of the major drugs used to control high blood pressure is a diuretic. Okay? And ang diuretic affects the blood volume through frequent urination. Then you have other antihypertensive drugs. Basically, it's just the mechanism of action. Pag tinignan mo, bottom line, it will lower your blood pressure. Ang difference nila is the mechanism. One antihypertensive, we call it the direct-acting vasodilator. As the name says, what does it do? Direct-acting vasodilator. So they do vasoconstrictor. They prevent vasoconstrictor. So they causes vasodilation sa blood vessels, directly on the blood vessels. It causes the blood vessels to dilate. So it decreases peripheral resistance, allowing the blood to pass through easily. So bababa ang blood pressure. Bababa ang peripheral resistance. Not difficult for the blood to pass through the blood vessels. Mababa ang peripheral resistance, bababa ang blood pressure. So, pareho lang naman yan actually. Ang difference nga lang sabi ko sa inyo is yung more or less the mechanism of action. Side effects, almost the same din naman yan no? By the way, minoxidil, minoxidil, it's a very good hair grower. So, kilalang-kilala ang minoxidil as a hair grower. They found out that patients who are given minoxidil, nag-grow daw siya ng baby's hair. Have you heard of Regro? Diba merong gamot na Regro? Regro is minoxidil. And it's very good for hair growth. But it's actually antihypertensive. Okay, then you have the neuronal blockers. Okay, we've discussed neuronal blockers, diba? It prevents the release of norepinephrine. Walang norepinephrine decreases sympathetic activity. Decrease sympathetic activity, decrease blood pressure. Kasi ang peripheral resistance is affected by sympathetic activity. So if the sympathetic activity decreases, blood pressure decreases, peripheral resistance decreases. And if the peripheral resistance decreases, the blood pressure decreases. So walang epinephrine. Neuronal blockers prevents the release of norepinephrine at the neuroeffector junction of the sympathetic division. Okay? Saan lang yung blocking? Where does the blocking where does the drug control it? No? Yun yung difference nila. And then you have the centrally acting. So these are the centrally acting. As the name says, centrally acting, it acts on the central nervous system. So instead of the usual transmitter, which is produced, what is produced as the transmitter is methyl alpha norepinephrine. Imbis na norepinephrine, what is produced is alpha methyl norepinephrine sa central nervous system. So if it's alpha methyl norepinephrine, nadi-decrease ang sympathetic activity. Kaya they call it centrally acting. The methyl, the alpha combines with the transmitter in the central nervous system. So instead of norepinephrine, which is stored and released sa neuroeffector junction, may nare-release pa rin, except that it's not norepinephrine, it's methyl norepinephrine. And that causes a decrease in sympathetic activity, that causes a decrease in peripheral resistance, that causes a decrease in blood pressure. Yun lang naman yun. And then you have the ganglionic blockers. So as the name says, sabi nga natin, where is the blocking? It blocks at the ganglia. So what is the transmitter in the ganglia? It's acetylcholine. And since ganglia is present in both sympathetic as well as in parasympathetic. And most of the adverse effect associated with the ganglionic blocker is because of the parasympathetic effect or the parasympathetic influence, no, ng gamot. So iba-iba lang yung blocking. Okay? Bottom line, decrease peripheral resistance, decrease sympathetic activity, decrease peripheral resistance, decrease blood pressure. Okay. No? And then you have the adrenergic blockers. It blocks the receptors, alpha, beta. Explain ko na naman to last time, di ba? So adrenergic blockers prevents the release transmitter from combining with alpha or beta. Alpha blocker, alpha receptor, beta receptor. So hindi magre-release ng norepinephrine, hindi lang makaka-combine with either alpha or beta. So we've discussed this, di ba? Mga beta blockers. So when you say non-selective, affects both beta 1 and beta 2. If it's cardioselective, it only affects beta 1. Next group of antihypertensive, this is called angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors. No? So if you remember your physio, when there is a decrease in blood flow, the system generates renin. And renin is an important substance which causes the conversion ng angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. If you remember sa physio, yung renin-angiotensin system to control yung yung blood flow. Anyways, no, probably hindi nyo na naalala. Anyway, so kapag pag dehydrated ka so that you don't really get dehydrated. So you have water retention. So merong system which is called the renin-angiotensin system. So renin na magre-release ng renin, and renin is it's necessary to convert angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. And then angiotensin 1 is converted to angiotensin 2 by an enzyme which is called the angiotensinogen converting enzyme, ACE. Pag merong angiotensin 2, that causes sodium retention, that causes increased peripheral resistance, and it stimulates aldosterone, which is the antidiuretic hormone. Para hindi ka iihi, para you don't excrete water, so you don't get dehydrated. Diba sabi ko nga, pag may sodium retention, mag-i-increase din ang water retention. And when there's water retention, mag-i-increase ang blood pressure. Okay? Hirap bang intindihin? So what is ACE inhibitor? Ang piniprevent niya yung enzyme. These drugs prevent the enzyme, the ACE enzyme. No ACE enzyme, di ba? Walang magko-convert. So angiotensin 1 will not be converted to angiotensin 2. So kung walang angiotensin 2, Madi-decrease ang water retention, mag-decrease ang peripheral resistance, no? So, bababa ang blood pressure mo. Okay? So, iba-iba lang actually. Kung titignan mo, iba-iba lang ang mechanism of action. Okay? And then you have the calcium channel blockers. So, sabi nung friend kong cardiologist, no, ito daw ang pinakamaganda ngayon. But a little expensive. It's a quite expensive drug, but it's very good cardiovascular drug. So, these are the different, no? So, mga dipin-dipin. Sasabihin ng parent mo, dipin-dipin. So, mga calcium channel blockers. So, as the name says, it blocks calcium. So, this is the effect, no? Magre-relax yung smooth muscle. When there is smooth muscle relaxation, kakaroon ng vasodilation, kasi relax yung muscles, no? Magdi-decrease ng myocardial automaticity. So, no calcium. So, less constriction. Bababa pa rin ang peripheral resistance kasi dilated. Relax ang muscles. Okay. So, I saw this board exam question. Hindi ko pala na-delete. Sorry. So, what periodontal problem cause Verapamil? It's gingival hyperplasia. Kung merong dalawang drug, there are two drugs which causes gingival hyperplasia. One is phenytoin, which is an anticonvulsant. It's an hydantoin derivative. Yung lumalaki yung gums, no? So, you know naman what's gingival hyperplasia. So, drugs which are known to cause gingival hyperplasia, one is yung hydantoin. Diphenylhydantoin. It's an anticonvulsant. And then Verapamil, calcium channel blocker, can cause gingival hyperplasia. Kaya pa? Ayaw na. Hello po. Sabi ko naman sa inyo, madali naman akong kausap. No? Hello po. Kaya pa ba? Ayaw nyo na. Ay, what happened? Sorry. Ano? Tama na po, ma'am? Sagot kayo, yes or no lang naman. Dali akong kausap. Cancel. Okay. Ano? Kaya pa? Hindi na kaya. Ano ba yan? Kaya pa? Hindi na? Yes or no? Okay lang kung ayaw nyo na.
Dok, ilang slides
Madami
na
pa
lang
po.
po?
Dami pa po. Medyo madami-dami pa. So, tapusin ko na lang siguro to, na? Itong cardiovascular. Kasi meron pa tayong anticonvulsant, pero mukhang hindi nyo na yata kaya. Pagod na kayo? Your brain is too much, Masyado nang madami. No? So, sige. Tuloy na lang natin to. Tuloy na lang natin tong cardiovascular. Mabilis lang naman to kasi nga, I'm sure mas mahirap nung pharma nyo, di ba? Mas detailed. Ako nga, lang eh. Asan na ba yung cardiovascular ko? Ang dami ko, sorry, ang dami ko lang naka-open eh. Sorry. Okay. So, kita naman yung slides. No? Hindi ba siguro kaya nga mas mahirap, it's more difficult kapag doctor kasi they go into details, especially when it comes to the medical drugs. No? And, mas kasi 'di ba yung pharma nyo si doctor yung mas binibigyan, they're more concentrated in the medical drugs, right? Am I correct? And
Opo.
tapos yung details, no? It's so detailed. Ako kasi feeling ko hindi naman natin to kailangan masyado. Although it's good to know, no? But sa dami ba naman ng kailangan nating tandaan. So parang no? Kaya hindi ako masyado sa ano. I'm more particular with the dental, no? Kaya nga ano lang to, parang just to know na at least alam niyo siya, what is it, ganyan, no? Pero hindi na ako masyado sa side effects kasi hindi naman natin talaga kailangan. We cannot use this in practice actually. Okay? So, actually, when you look at the antihypertensive, it's related to peripheral resistance, no? Yung vasoconstriction. And more or less, no, pareho sila with a little difference, but more or less, no, ang bottom line is they will lower the blood pressure. Tandaan nyo lang, if there is a decrease in sympathetic activity, there will be a decrease in peripheral resistance. Peripheral resistance, usually, yung peripheral resistance refers to the gaano ka-easy or difficult, how easy or difficult for the blood to pass through the blood vessels. So kaya nga kung may constriction, the blood has a difficult time going into passing through the different vessels. So nag-i-increase ang peripheral resistance, tumataas ang blood pressure. And sabi ng friend ko, when you measure daw diastolic pressure, the diastolic, di ba sa high blood, systolic and diastolic. So yung systolic is more for the heart action. Kaya meron silang tinatawag na systolic high blood eh. But when we talk of high blood pressure, di ba, it's the diastolic pressure. So ang ginagamit nating basis more or less is the diastolic pressure. And sabi nung friend kong cardiologist, what is measured daw by the diastolic pressure is actually the peripheral resistance. Kaya pag mataas ang peripheral resistance, mataas ang diastolic pressure. It's usually vasodilation. Dinadilate mo yung blood vessels para mas mabilis ang flow ng blood. And the different antihypertensive agents actually iba-iba lang in terms of mechanism of action. Okay? So let's go to cardiac glycosides, another cardiovascular drugs. This is also known as cardiotonic glycosides. This is an example of a drug which acts on the heart, specifically the heart muscle. No? Cardiotonic glycosides or cardiac glycoside, this is the drug of choice for congestive heart failure, CHF. Congestive heart failure is also known as cardiac decompensation. So ang drug of choice for CHF, congestive heart failure, is cardiac glycosides or cardiotonic glycoside. Kaya nga cardiotonic heart, primarily ang effect nito is on the heart muscles. Okay, na? So kasi if you're under stress, di ba? I remember may nagtanong sa akin, ano daw, kasi enlarge yung heart niya. So he was diagnosed with heart enlargement. Medyo malaki daw ng konti yung heart. And ang cause was stress. Tinatanong niya, how does stress affect the heart? Kasi when you're stressed, di ba, ang heart mo needs to function, needs to work harder. And sometimes the heart cannot accommodate yung extra stress. Hindi siya nakaka-contract ng properly. And alam naman natin, di ba, we know heart needs to contract to be able to pump blood properly. So kung hindi siya nakaka-contract, both the auricle and the ventricle cannot contract properly in response to the demands of the body. Nagkakaroon ng cardiac decompensation. In cardiac decompensation or CHF, kulang ng contraction yung heart, either the auricle or the ventricle. hindi siya nakaka-contract properly. If it does not contract properly, the amount of blood that goes into the system is diminished. Plus, yung heart mo, may tendency na lumaki yung heart mo because it does not empty properly during contraction. Okay? Kuha niyo ko. Kasi dapat mag-contract siya, di ba? Dapat ma-empty yung heart mo eh. Hindi nga siya nakaka-contract properly. So, may mga blood pa na naiiwan sa heart, sa mga chambers because of decreased contraction. So, affected ang oxygen, no? Kaya usually ang may mga CHF, cyanotic, di ba? Hirap huminga kasi kulang ang oxygen because hindi maganda yung flow ng blood. Tapos usually meron silang cardiomegaly, no? Dahil nga may naiiwan pang, there are still blood retained in the chambers kasi because of a decreased contraction. Kasi pag under stress tayo, nagdi-demand ang body ng more oxygen, no? And kapag hindi tawag dito, hindi maka-adjust sa additional stress, physical, emotional, no? Then that's the problem. Kapag affected ang heart, no? Affected ang circulation, affected ang kidneys. Kasi what carries waste product to the what, no, di ba? What carries blood to the kidneys, no? It's still circulation. So affected lahat 'yan. Kaya nga dalawa, heart and kidney are usually magkasama 'yan. Pag edema ka, if you have edema, especially of the lower extremities, usually it's either may problem ka sa heart o may problem ka sa kidney. Okay? Okay, no? So, cardiac glycosides is the drug of choice for CHF, and the most important effect ng cardiac glycoside is positive inotropism. It makes the heart contract better. Kasi di ba in CHF, the heart cannot contract properly. Decrease ang contraction ng heart. So, affected yung circulation. So, ang effect ng digitalis on the heart is to have a positive inotropic effect. Mag-i-increase ng contraction. So, mas maganda na ang cardiac output, no? Mas maganda na ang urination kasi nga it's the circulation that carries waste product to the kidneys, no? Magdi-decrease ang venous pressure kasi nakaka-pump out properly, nakaka-expel properly. Okay? Magdi-decrease ang volume and it will relieve edema kasi nakakaihi ka na properly. Okay? So that's the main effect ng digitalis. It increases. It has a positive inotropic effect which means nag-i-increase ang contraction. Kaya maganda siya for CHF. Okay. Another effect ng digitalis is called the vagal action of digitalis. No? It's the effect ng digitalis on the vagus nerve, vagus nerve. Ang ano daw kasi, pag there is an increase in vagus nerve, mas mabilis ang heart rate. So they call this the vagal action of digitalis. No? It stimulates the vagus nerve, no? So bumabagal yung heart rate. So they call it the vagal action ng digitalis. It's through the vagus nerve. And digitalis also increases the automaticity of the ventricles. Patients who have taken digitalis are usually not recommended na you use local anesthesia with epinephrine. Kasi epinephrine also produces or it also increases the automaticity of the ventricles. It stimulates, di ba? It's a cardiac stimulant. So, hindi nire-recommend. No? If the patient is taking digitalis, lessen the amount of the vasoconstrictor. Kasi baka magkaroon ng potentiation. Magkaroon ng ectopic pacemaker of the heart. Kasi digitalis produces increased automaticity. The vasoconstrictor sa local anesthetic also do the same thing. And if you combine drugs of the same nature, it usually results in potentiation. So, hindi nila nire-recommend that you use a vasoconstrictor when, in using local anesthesia. Okay. Questions? Okay. And then you have antiarrhythmia. So what is arrhythmia? You know what is arrhythmia, diba? This is irregularity in the rate and rhythm of the heart, usually caused either by injury or diseases. Now we call it arrhythmia. Whether it's increase, which is tachycardia, or decrease, which is bradycardia, as long as it is not normal, it's arrhythmia. Kaya mabilis, kaya mabagal, arrhythmia pa rin ang tawag nila. And drugs which cause or drugs which is used to prevent or to control arrhythmia are called antiarrhythmia, against arrhythmia. So these are the different agents. No? Quinidine, one of the oldest, no, and still useful drug to prevent arrhythmia. So this is the used for the treatment and prevention of supraventricular tachycardia. Alam niyo naman ano yung tachy. Pag sabi tachy, mabilis, di ba? Pag brady, mabagal. So, yan ang gamit ng quinidine. So, quinidine is one of the oldest, no? And still useful drugs to prevent arrhythmia. And then you have procainamide, no? Procainamide is similar to the local anesthetic procaine. But it's not the same local anesthetic. It's the same, almost the same. Related but not, it's different. Hindi siya yung procaine natin na ginagamit sa anesthesia. It's procainamide. Another is lidocaine. This is the lidocaine that we use in local anesthesia. Yung lidocaine na ginagamit nating local anesthesia, meron siyang antiarrhythmic property. So pag tinanong kayo, local anesthetic with antiarrhythmic property, lidocaine. It's the same lidocaine that is used as an antiarrhythmia. Phenytoin is it's an anticonvulsant. Yung diphenylhydantoin used for grand mal or chronic, clonic-tonic type of seizures, no? So, hindi na siya phenytoin ngayon. Pangalan niya ngayon is diphenylhydantoin. It's the drug of choice for digitalis-induced arrhythmia. If the arrhythmia is caused by digitalis, yung vagal action ng digitalis. Ang digitalis kasi meron siyang negative chronotropic effect. It's called the vagal action ng digitalis. So the drug of choice for digitalis-induced arrhythmia is phenytoin. Phenytoin causes gingival hyperplasia. You use it for tonic. It's a very good anticonvulsant, sometimes combined with phenobarbital in the treatment of tonic-clonic type of convulsions. And then you have the beta blockers and you have the calcium channel blockers. Yung mga blockers, that's very good for cardiovascular, di ba? Pwede siya sa high blood. Pwede siya sa arrhythmia. So it's the same beta blocker. Especially the cardioselective. Yung beta 1 type ng beta blockers. So pwede siya sa arrhythmia, pwede siya sa high blood pressure. Also the calcium channel blockers. The same calcium channel blockers. Yung mga blockers, very good cardiovascular drugs yan. Okay. What's angina? Angina is chest pain. So this is caused by a decrease in the amount of oxygen that reaches the muscles. So pain daw usually results kapag may demand. If there is, di ba, like stress, physical or emotional, so there is more demand dun sa body. And if the amount of oxygen that is supplied to the muscles is not enough, that is usually the cause ng chest pain. And since the heart is basically a muscle, kapag it's the heart muscle which is affected, it's called angina or chest pains. And the drug that is used is called anti-angina. We have two types of angina, di ba? One is called the classic angina. Ito yung angina that is caused of yung stress. Ito yung nakikita natin sa mga telenovela na na-stress, nagtanan yung nanay, no? So, na-stress si tatay, biglang nagsikip yung dibdib. So, nitroglycerin is the drug of choice. Merong variant type, they call it the Prince Metal angina. No? So, this is anginal attack that occurs even without stress. Yung classic, yun yung associated with stress. Pero meron daw isang type ng angina which is called the variant type. Yung Prince Metal. Kahit walang stress, nagkakaroon ng chest pain. So these are the drugs, no? And ang rationale for the anti-anginal, it causes vasodilation para mas maganda yung flow ng blood. So we have the nitrates and the nitrite. So these are what? These are vasodilators. And usually, di ba, the drug of choice for classic angina is nitroglycerin, which is given sublingual. Another name for nitroglycerin is glyceryl trinitrate. Sublingual siya, di ba? So, this is usually the drug of choice. So, ang rationale is i-dilate yung blood vessels para mas maganda ang flow ng oxygen to lessen the pain. And then you have dipyridamole, which is the drug of choice for long-term prophylaxis against angina. Nitroglycerin kasi hindi daw yan ginagamit. Usually ginagamit siya kapag not on a regular basis. It's usually used for yung biglang sumakit. So what is used for maintenance is dipyridamole, Parsantin. It's the drug of choice for long-term prevention ng angina. And then, eto na naman sila, the beta blockers and the calcium channel blockers. Okay? Anticoagulant against coagulation. So, the most important side effect associated with an anticoagulant is bleeding. Do you know that blood, once it is outside daw ng blood stream, ng blood vessels, nagka-clot yan. So what makes, no? Kaya pala, pag di ba when you're making dinuguan, so pag wala pala I learned this, no? Kapag ang dugo is not inside the blood vessels, ang tendency ng blood is to clot. So one use ng anticoagulant, they yung sa mga daw yan, yung sa mga blood transfusion, pero the blood remains, di ba when you give blood, para it remains liquid. Kasi once the blood is outside the blood vessels, tendency daw ng blood is to clot. So anticoagulants prevents coagulation. And we have different types. So we have heparin. Heparin is it's usually hindi siya long term, no? Usually injection ang heparin, hindi siya oral. So, ang mechanism of action is yung same, no? Ang difference nila is the mechanism of action. So, anong factor is affect? Why does the blood does not clot if you give heparin, or if heparin is used? Kasi it affects factors 12, 11, 10, and 9, as well as prothrombin. Remember what keeps what keeps hemostasis, diba? It's the interaction of the different blood clotting factors. Kaya hindi ka nagdudugo, no? So what does heparin do? They prevent clotting because it affects the different factors, and those are the factors that is affected by heparin. So in cases of overdose, what is the drug for overdosage, no? Due to heparin overdose, it's protamine sulfate. Then you have the oral anticoagulants. Now, this includes coumarin and related drugs, no? Yung warfarin, dihydroxycoumarin. Yan. So, iba naman ang factor which is affected. Ito usually ang ginagamit for maintenance, yung oral anticoagulant. So, if a patient has a risk, no, yung mga MI, mga clots, ang hindi heparin ang not heparin. Usually what is given for maintenance is the oral anticoagulant. So be careful that if your patient is taking an oral anticoagulant, be careful kasi bleeding. And be careful of combining it with aspirin. Kasi remember, aspirin is a mild anticoagulant. So ito yung mga gamot na dapat tinatanong nyo. Kung ano yung mga gamot which can affect how we manage our patients. So common madalas din we see patients na nag-oral anticoagulant. It's most of the time it's oral, especially for maintenance. So, ito yan, mga coumarins and related drugs. May mga coumarin, dihydroxycoumarin, dicumarol, no? So, pag narinig niyo yung digoxin, usually digitalis derivative yan. Okay? And then you have the Indan Jones, parang Indiana Jones, no? Indan Jones. More adverse effect. It's also like oral anticoagulants. It's also oral, pero hindi normally used kasi more adverse effect. So usually pag oral anticoagulants, it's the coumarin ang ginagamit. So pag may pag nag-oral anticoagulants, dapat chine-check yung bleeding time, clotting time kasi affected. Yeah, because of the anticoagulants. Okay? Bleeding, importante. By the way, anticoagulants does not prevent or does not dissolve blood clot. It only prevents the formation of new ones. So kung meron na daw blood clot, the anticoagulants does not dissolve blood clot. It can only prevent the formation of new clots. Okay? So, whole blood transfusion. Alam niyo ba na ano pala yan? When you have transfusion, depende pala on what you need. Kaya pala, that is why pinaprocess ang blood. Pag when you need transfusion, no? Tapos magdo-donate ka ng blood, it takes some time before tina-transfuse yung blood kasi pinaprocess pa pala yan, yung blood. So kung platelet lang kailangan mo, platelet lang ang ibibigay sa'yo. Ganun pala yun. No? So, kaya pala tataka ako noon, no? Kasi my mom had to undergo blood transfusion. So, ang tagal-tagal naman. I-transfuse. No? So, yun pala. Kaya pala pinaprocess pa. Depending on, so kung kailangan mo lang ganito, ito lang bibigyan. So my mom, kailangan kasi ng mother ko before was platelet. Okay? So for oral, it's whole blood. The whole blood transfusion. Okay. So you have antihyperlipidemia. This is related to fats. No? Yung atherosclerosis, diba? It prevents the fat from lining into the lumen of the blood vessels. So, against, kaya lipid, diba? Lipid against fat. Kasi, yun yung cause, diba? Kaya nag-harden yung blood vessels, making it difficult to contract because of the fats. Tapos lumiliit yung, there's decrease in the lumen of the blood vessels because of the accumulation ng fat. Ibang tawag nila doon, atherosclerosis or arteriosclerosis. Okay, no. So these are the drugs which prevents that. Ito yung may mga tatin-tatin. Uso yan ngayon, di ba? Yung mga atorvastatin, simvastatin, pa ba yung mga, tanungin niyo your parents, no? They're usually taking the tatin. So these are the agents. I'm done. Yes. Okay. No? So, as I've said, hindi naman, it's nice to know, no? But, hindi naman na, we don't really use this naman in dentistry. Ang dapat lang kasi, alam nyo, no, may idea kayo, ano yung gamot. Kasi baka magkaroon ng interaction. So, dapat we should have idea, okay, ganito pala to, para dito pala to, diba? Okay, questions po? Are we good? Not good.
Good, Doc.